Hello, let me introduce my helper today. It is Kintaro. He is going to help us and show us that the force has been with us all afternoon and all evening. How come? If you look closely, there's sawdust on his helmet. And he is attracting sawdust very strongly. Maybe you can see it, maybe not. But he is covered with fine sawdust. So what Kintaro brings our attention to is this pair of speaker cabinet. Pardon, this is just one half of the pair from the back. And I'm going to show you the other half of it. So now this video is about what can you expect when you are building speakers for yourself. And of course, one important part of speaker building is the materials choice. So in the past 20, 30, 40 years, the favorite choice of material has been MDF, medium density fiberboard, which is really easy to work with. It always has perfectly constant dimensions, there is no warp in it, everything is fine and dandy, and people who use it swear that everything else is just crap. And they have something in what they are saying, and that something is that working with MDF is very easy because it's a man-made material, it doesn't warp, but that doesn't warping means it's a dead material. Literally, it's made with uric acid, it's made with piss and formaldehyde, embalming fluid and piss, and mixed in with sawdust. Basically, that's what it is, in a very profane way of saying it. And it's kind of like a refuse from wood. And maybe this imagery brings some unpleasant images, and yes, and sadly that's what it is. And when you have MDF around, then you are slowly inhaling some of that residue of formaldehyde, of that embalming fluid that MDF is going to release into your air over time. So anyway, why am I saying all of that? I'm saying all of that because when you use MDF, it's very easy. It's cut and paste. You just measure all your measurements, you cut it, and you are all happy with it. However, with real wood, you find out that the sides are not perfectly parallel, and that's what we found with this piece of wood. This used to be an 8-inch wide, 8 feet long pine wood. And I made all the cabinet plans based on the 8-inch width, which actually turned out to be 18.4 centimeters or 184 millimeters. However, when we try to cut it, we realized that it was not parallel. One end was just 18.2 inches wide compared to the other end. So what we ended up doing was that we used, here we have, you cannot see much. So now this is the aftermath of a whole afternoon. Well, actually it was more like 4 hours, late afternoon to evening woodwork. And now everything is all piled up on my saw, on my table saw, and because that's where it progressed. So this is where we were gluing together the cabinet after cutting it. However, I needed this table to first trim the wood, trim both sides so that it remains perfectly parallel and perfectly perpendicular. So our 18.4 centimeters became 18.0 centimeters after all of the crookedness has been removed. So that is just some warning that when you are working with wood, you are going, here's the other half of the pair, this will be the front of the cabinet, and this is the back side. So when you are working with wood, you are going to have imperfections and have to face reality. And that doesn't mean that you should not use real wood, you should use MDF. Really, if you use MDF, you will be able to 100% stick to your plans, provided your plans are, well, provided you can cut perfectly well and measure well. But I think that's just half of the thing. The other half of the thing is that when I started making my speakers 25 years ago, my really big enlightening moments was just to never ever touch that blasted MDF. It's just, you know, I have like dozens of audio friends who are DIYers, like really hardcore DIYers. You could call us like audio practitioners who basically dedicated their life to fine-tuning their stereo systems and using the stereo to translate what we want to hear and basically give voice to music and give voice to how we want music to be perceived by us. And of course each individual person has a different idea about it, but every single individual whom my friends who started building speaker cabinets, every single person did that effing MDF. I really want to use swear and curse words for describing MDF, but YouTube would ban my videos, so I do not. But that effing is just, I hope, an accurate rendering of how deeply I feel against using that material for loudspeakers. It's a sin against music lovers to use MDF for wood. So what you want to use is either plywood or solid wood. So here I use the combination of solid wood, solid pine for the top of the cabinet, for the front. Let me see, it's too bright, isn't it too bright? I think the video looks way too bright. So let me see, what can I do? I want to change so that it's not that bright, but my camera, okay. Now we are going there. Oh, that's way too dark, right? Now baby, here, it's not so overexposed. Hello Machi. We have Machiko here. Now it's way too dark. Wow, that's life, right? So here is Machi. She's also having checking out the tools. And I'm going back to this overexposed picture here. Let's just take it down a notch. Good. So basically I used the pine wood for the front, the bottom, the top, and also the backside will be pine as well. And the sides are plywood. So these are like 3/4 inch pine and 1/2 inch ply. Well, if you have a little bit more money, you can use 1 inch ply for the sides, and this is like a medium grade plywood, and the choice for that, for using it 1/2 inch and medium grade, is to save cost on the construction, because this is going to be Alexander's cabinet, and he is 100% funding his own project. And you know, for someone who is in high school, it's not that easy to cough up money for speaker building, and yeah, so when you have to earn it and you are in high school, everything really matters. So for this project we really designed it to be as affordable as possible and as good results as possible. So now we have ply on the sides, real wood on the outside, and the reason for that is that actually he wants to use these as gaming cabinets for computer gaming, And here this looks all crooked because it's not finished yet. It's halfway done, so the sides, the top and the front are glued together, and there's also a few screws holding it. So in case you don't have that much or that many or that big clamps who hold everything together, then you can put in a few screws. And as you see, there are no screws yet on the top because the top is not screwed in yet. However, we placed it there so that when everything dries together, it dries to size, dries to shape and size. And as you see, we will have a slot port here. So it will be a nice narrow slot port, and this is going to be the back of the cabinet. So the port is going to be really tight, really tiny and narrow. We are going to flare it out using a router and flare out the inside as well. And we will have a tweeter here and a woofer underneath. And yes, my reason for using real wood, and under real wood I mean either the lumber or plywood, which is also lumber, just really fine slivers of lumber glued together. So basically it's like a layer of lumber, and MDF is just sawdust glued together with piss and embalming fluid. So why is this better, and why is that better than MDF? Because the sound you get, you will be happy with the sound. So that's the most, the bottom line of it is that until people have MDF cabinets, they are extremely rare that they are happy with their choices. They always want to buy different speakers. Maybe you are one of them, that people just cycling through their gear like crazy. They are addicted to Craigslist and they don't do anything with their life other than cycling through loudspeakers and all kinds of things. And building your own cabinet from real wood, it just gives you a different perspective to the sound. And I'm making this video that you don't have to freak out when you face that the real wood is not like MDF. So for example, right here on the bottom, as you see, there was a little crack still, even though we did our best to do 90-degree cuts and we just cut the edges to be parallel. Still there was a little imperfection because of the board. The piece on the bottom was not straight, it was just going crooked here, so there was a little bit of a gap there. So what I did is filled it with some ad hoc liquid nails. What is that? So let's get some more light. So what I did is that we get I used some of the sawdust that came out from cutting all of this wood and mixed it in with the Elmer's glue or Titebond, or that's it, your wood glue, any kind of wood glue. So mix in a few drops with some of the sawdust as seen there, and just rub it in and fill in the gaps right there. There wasn't much, maybe like a millimeter or so. And then you can also see actually most of the surface here is really good. It matches really perfectly well. It feels like one single surface already, even though it wasn't sanded yet. But we are going to sand it down and it will feel like a single surface. Here there's some discrepancy there with the wood warping a little bit, but you can sand it down. We will sand it down. Of course we will router all the edges, and that's how you roll that. For wood it is live, and we were forced to change our cabinet plans while making the cabinet, but that is good because it keeps you on your toes. You have to work on your intuition, on your skills, and it's not just a dumb read the schematics and put it together. It kind of like a thing that anyone can do, just follow instructions and without any kind of thought on your own, just put things together. No, this way we had to think while doing it. Now that we have different dimensions, different things happening, we are going to redesign it a little bit and have our thoughts how we are finishing it up. But that's no reason to panic, and I'm sharing it because you who are building your own speaker, you will find that sometimes some things are not as perfect as you thought. Maybe the corner is sticking out a lot, not here, but maybe in your case it might, and that's okay. Just send it down, do your measurements, work out your stuff. Often you see on my video the voice of Lancelot speakers, and actually there is like a bigger crookedness inside that speaker than in this tiny cabinet. Because of the wood warping and differences, I made one is, I would say, almost significantly different cabinet than the other. You can only see it when you get your ruler out, when you have protractor, things like that. But guess what? In life, in real life, it's not perceptible at all. Although I have to ask that the larger the volume of your cabinet is, the less the imperfections matter, and the smaller the cabinet, the more the imperfections are going to happen, because the smaller the cabinet, the higher pressurized it is, and the higher the pressurization, the more the effects of anything that's happening in the cabinet is going to affect it. What else do I want to say? Basically that, and that we had to improvise a lot during the making of these cabinets, and I had to grab my chop saw as well. Was doing a good job, working hard for us, and also as it has its guide. You see these guides here, and when we put the wood like right here, so the wood should be like perfectly touching the guides there, and then we noticed all kind of crookedness, and that's when we realized that we need to shave it. And in general, when you are building speaker cabinets, if you have a table saw like that one under all the mess, then just shave from your wood, and you just count it in that whatever you buy, piece of wood, the plank, it's like 5 millimeter minus, take away at least that much for the final dimensions that you are going to left with. If not, you'll be still fine if you have inspected the wood properly, selected the plank properly, and it's reasonably straight, reasonably not crooked. You'll be okay. If you have like tiny deficiencies like that, like I showed here, just fill it out with your makeshift liquid nails and sand down whatever is not compliant, and don't worry about the rest. It is well worth it. This extra little effort is so much worth over using that unbelievably dreadful MDF cabinet. So thank you for tuning in, and I hope you had as good time listening to this video as we had with Alexander building these cabinets, and I hope these videos will turn out okay. I'm hand holding these, and you see there's a huge mess here. This is how your workshop, or maybe as in my case your garage, will look like after such a project. It's a royal mess, and however, I have reinstalled the litter box for Sylvester, so he is a happy camper again. And coming back to Kintaro, he's still here. Kintaro, no, look, that's Machiko. Ho ho, what a surprise! We started with Kintaro in the windows, and there's Machiko to say you goodbye. Say goodbye to Machiko. Bye bye.